Hi everyone, today's video is going to be on preparing for a new hamster. Generally these tips are going to apply to both dwarfs and Syrians, but obviously at the moment I have a Syrian hamster, so a lot of the things are catered to her. So the first, biggest and most expensive purchase you should ever have to make for your hamster is a cage. Currently the minimum requirements for a Syrian hamster are a cage length of 75 centimetres, width 40 centimetres, and again height 40 centimetres. So these Zone cages are absolutely perfect. They're generally 80 centimetres, you can get larger. I think this one's somewhere between 70 and 80 centimetres. The other cage I've actually got here at the moment is the cage that I've made for my hamster. These are called bin cages, so if you're looking for information on these, just search for hamster bin cage. And I've actually fixed the wheel to the side, as you can see there. And the length of mine is actually 90 centimetres by 35.5, and then I'm not entirely sure what the height is, but so I made it the roof so that you know, plenty of air is getting in and all the rest of it, but she can't chew the cage, and also the bedding's not going to come out from down here. Okay, so the next essential item, aside from the cage, is a hamster wheel. All cages need a hamster wheel, regardless of whether you see your hamster running all the time. I've come across people who said, oh, my hamster doesn't really run on his wheel. Well, you aren't there 24 hours a day, so you can't be sure that it never runs on a wheel. It's essential to give a hamster an option, because a hamster can run for anywhere from up to 5 miles per night. So it is one that I got in Pets at Home, and this is actually a ball that's on a stand. There are these, this is called a flying saucer. Another kind of wheel you get here is a silent spinner. This is a rat-sized wheel, and this is a lot better for Syrian hamsters than any of the other wheels. So I do recommend buying a wheel that's the size bigger than you think that you need, because basically if you can see your hamster running in the wheel and they're arching their back, then they're too big for their wheel, and you can... Okay, so whether you're getting your hamster from if you're adopting it from a rescue, you're buying one from a pet shop, or buying one from a breeder, wherever you're getting one, that's up to yourself. You will need something to carry it home in. Obviously, if you go somewhere like Pets at Home, you can see here, this is the kind of box that they will give you to carry your pet home in. The other thing you can get is one of these plastic boxes. There's many different kinds. This is one I've had for many years. Again, this is suitable for short journeys. And it's great because it's plastic, you can completely disinfect it between uses, between hamsters. And I do recommend having some kind of box or something, even if you make a box, you know, have a plastic box and put air holes in for taking a hamster to vet visits, if you're going to go to shows. Okay, and that's another big essential, aside from obviously your cage and your wheel, which I think are the top things that you need to have in a cage. You're going to need to get hamster food. And the best thing to do is actually, wherever you're getting the hamster from, ask if you can get a sample. I particularly like 2 brands of feed that I've got here, and I have them mixed in together. I keep them in this container, and I actually use a food scoop to take the food out, because I don't like using my own hands, and that's not for my own purposes, but hamsters don't like the smell of humans, and they don't want your hands all over their food. Of course they'll eat it, but it's not nice. You wouldn't like anyone running their hands through your food. You wouldn't be able to taste it, but it's gross, so just, you know, bear that in mind. And again, I use a food bowl. This is just a little wee hamster one. I rotate between, sometimes I use a food bowl, other times I scatter feed. Scatter feed just means taking the amount that you put in their food bowl and just hiding it around their cage. The hamster foods that I use that I recommend are the Burgess Super Hamster Harvest. This one's really good because obviously it has all the fruits, grains and nuts, and it also has some mealworms, and I think it has turkey protein. Let me have a quick look. It has mealworms and, yeah, poultry fat. The other food that I recommend is Hany Hamster Muesli. This is what I was given by the RSPCA. If you don't know, the hamster was abandoned in my garden, and I actually alerted the RSPCA, but because I was able to keep her, they gave me a bag of food, and so then I just mixed in the other one with it. And obviously I didn't know what she was on, but she ate this anyway. Okay, so the very last essential that I think that you need for your new hamster when you're preparing for it to come is a house. Hamsters need somewhere to sleep. Sometimes you find that you'll give them a house and you'll put bedding in it and they'll go make their bed somewhere else. But it's also good to give them the option. You might want to put 2 houses in. If you have a nice big cage, you should be able to, there's somewhere to put like 2 houses, so maybe they'll store their food in one, maybe they'll sleep in one. So this is an example of a wooden house. This is actually advertised on the Zoo Plus website as suitable for guinea pigs, but it's not. I have guinea pigs and they certainly wouldn't fit in this. So it's a nice big one for a Syrian hamster. The next one I have is a Sabic Sputnik. Again, these are good for, probably best for dwarfs. You can put it this way around and they can make their bed in it, or you can actually hang it from the bars in the cage, so that's really fun as well. I also have this really cute little igloo. If you have guinea pigs or rabbits, you've probably seen them for them, and so this is like a really cute house, and they can sit on top, or you can put their food bowl on top, so again that's quite good. And then the last one I have is, I think this is Sabic. It might be, no, it's Fairplast. This is a little Fairplast house. I actually got this for one of my dwarf hamsters, but my Syrian hamster is using it. She prefers a small house apparently than a big. You can use like the box that your hamster came in, or you can use cereal boxes, tissue boxes. You don't have to spend massive amounts of money on hamsters. Okay, as you can see from inside my cage, the bedding I use is sawdust. I actually use dust extracted sawdust. I use this because I have other animals, guinea pigs, that I use sawdust with, so it's just the easiest thing for me to use. In the past I've also used Megazorb. It's been quite good with hamsters. It comes in really big sacks. That's by Northern Crop Growers. I've also tried Owboys or Obioys, however you want to say it. Again, it's a horse bedding. I would recommend it for hamsters, but probably not for any large animals because the bits are quite sharp. Carefresh, or you can use paper bedding. The cotton, it's not cotton, but there's the paper flake bedding, larger pieces. All these things, you can see all these things in Pets at Home and make a choice whichever one you use. Okay, so lastly are sort of toys and treats that you might consider getting for your hamster. These are non-essential items, but it's nice for you to have them, and the idea of having a hamster with a large cage is so that you can add enrichment to their life and you get to watch them having fun, and it's just a way of bonding with your animal, especially when it's edible treats. And you should be trying to make their cage as fun as possible, and every time that you clean out their bed, do kind of swap things around. With regard to cleaning out hamsters, I recommend that you spot clean every 1 to 2 days, which means taking out any peed on bedding and droppings. Syrian hamsters have quite large droppings, so you will be able to just like pick them up. How I do that is I wear rubber gloves so that I'm not leaving my scent all over their cage, and just put the droppings and wet bedding into nappy sacks. The reason why you don't want to clean your hamster cage out more than every 3 weeks, is because the hamster scents their territory. They're very territorial, especially the Syrian hamsters. And then if you have dwarfs or a pair of dwarfs, you don't want to be putting their scent all over the cage because it can encourage fighting. You'll notice when your hamster goes back in the cage, it'll be wiping its paws on its face. People do mistake that as grooming. They're not actually grooming, although on occasion they are grooming. But what they're doing is kind of licking their paws, getting their scent all over their feet, and then they go all around the cage and you'll see them climbing on everything, touching everything, putting their hands down inside the cage. So they're actually scenting their territory rather than grooming and exploring and things. So anyway, moving on. I can't recommend enough kind of like these wooden bridges. You can get these in lots of pet shops and obviously in Pets at Home from the Woodlands range. I've also got a larger one here. This used to have hooks on the end. You can actually hook these to the side of the cage. These are really good because it also lets the hamster chew on the wood. Hamsters do chew on something in order to keep their teeth from becoming overgrown. Hamsters' teeth actually never stop growing, so you do want to provide some wooden toys. So you can do that in the form of bridges, which can also become homes. You can get chews like this that you can attach to the bars of their cage. This is just called a knobbly gnawer. These only cost about 99p, again in Pets at Home. There are things like these that are wooden blocks. These are actually made for children. I picked up a whole packet of these in the shop Poundland. So yeah, you can get these, and they have safe dye on them, and it's just something they can chew, or you could make little houses out them. If you use Pet Safe glue, you could make something with those. Again, you could get like willow sticks. I must say my hamster isn't a fan of willow sticks, so I won't be purchasing them again, but I know a lot of people's are. And then this is just one of the chews that's left over from Christmas that the guinea pigs got. The other chew that I can't recommend enough are these Antos, I think, or Artos, I'm not really sure. They're vegetable-based dog chews, and this one actually used to be a crocodile. My hamster has had this for a few days, and as you can see, she's devoured it. For those of you who have never seen them before, it kind of looks like this. This is the hedgehog shaped one. So it starts out like this. Yeah, so it's completely vegetable, blah, 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 so it's safe for hamsters is what I'm trying to say. I think those are all the kind of chews that I get, yeah. The other thing is hamsters are really easy to toilet train, so if you want, you can get hamster potties. I haven't actually brought one in with me. They just look like a corner litter tray like you would get for rabbits. And then you can get this potty litter. As you can see, this is quite cheap, it's only $1.99, and it just encourages them to always pee in the same place. My hamster is actually quite large and she just knocks over her potty. So what I do is I wait to find out, if you wait and find out which corner your hamster always pees in, and that's the corner you want to put the potty in, and they will just naturally use it themselves. I found that Syrian hamsters cotton on a lot quicker than the dwarf breeds of hamsters, and my Chinese hamsters didn't get it at all. But litter training is incredibly easy. And as I was saying, my hamster knocks over her litter box. So what I do is I actually just pour the litter in the corner that she uses, and she still goes there, so that's really good. The other thing, you might want to buy your hamster some treats. They can basically eat most hamster treats. You just don't want to overload them with sugar. Don't give them a treat well, I mean, you could give them one little button like this every day if you must. But it's best to have like a treat day, or keep giving their treats to them. If they do something like you're rewarding them for a trick, or you've got them out. When you're taming a hamster, using treats is the best thing. So something that my hamster really likes are these kind of milk drops. They're from Rotostat. They're really cheap. You can pick them up in, again, Pets at Home, where you can get them in Asda. They're less than £1. I've also got these carrot drops. I also have these locust bean treats that I've just bought, but she has them in her food, so she likes them. You get these honey nut treats. These are quite good. Again, some cheese wedges. Cheese are particularly loved by hamsters. And again, some fruit and nut treats. You don't want to give too much dried fruits, because again, they're high in sugar. When fruit gets dried, the carbohydrates turn into sugar, so it becomes worse for them than actually a piece of fresh fruit. Some people feed dog biscuits. I've actually stopped feeding my hamster dog biscuits because I find that the protein content is a little bit high, so I'm not comfortable giving her that many. So I actually just keep these for a friend's dog now. I have a post on my guinea pig page on Facebook, Guinea Pig Secrets UK and Other Furry Friends, and there's a link. I'll put a link to that in the down bar. You can go and read what I've said about protein on that page. And then one of the last things that I forgot to mention was bedding for in their house. You do want to give them bedding so they can make their own nest. Hamsters love to make a nest. You can get things like this, which are recycled paper pet bedding, but I've actually found that using toilet paper or kitchen. Okay, so we'll just go and pop my hamster in the cage, and then I can give you a quick overview again of what's in there. So we'll just let her out. Again, when you get your hamster, it may not be tame, and there's a different reason why my hamster's not been tame. If you see my other videos on her, you'll see why. But as you can see, she's got her water bottle, her wheel, she's got a log tunnel to go through, and then she's got her house there. And again, you can see that I actually put the her wheel does make a noise, I'm very sorry. I put the litter in the corner there, that's where she goes to do her business. The other things that are in her cage, if I just turn her around, she's got the wooden log thing. I've actually added in a cheesy chew, and there's her crocodile to chew on up there. Yeah, so that's somewhere for her to climb, and her food is actually hidden under the arch there. And that's all that I'm putting in at the moment, because she has been destroying her cage of late. So I'm interested to see what she does. And then again, in her house, she has her toilet roll for bedding. I'm actually going to put in one last thing, is just that as a tunnel for her, and then in a few days time I swap her toys around so that it just keeps things interesting for her, and she gets out in her wheel every day, her kind of ball. So that's basically what I can say about preparing for a new hamster. If you've got any questions, like I said before, just inbox me or comment below.